In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make a stretch bracelet. The two colors that we carry, we have black and clear. You want to use clear if you have a transparent beads like these guys, because if you have a black cord running through, it's going to like reduce the opacity of the bead and you'll be able to see it. The other thing, we carry just the 1 millimeter. I like 1 millimeter because I just feel safer using it, because I think that if I use like a 0.7 or half mil, that it might break. But you can double it, because I show that in another video, but that requires like the leadered needle. This way that I do it doesn't require, the leadered needle. And what I do is I cut about 11 inches for the bracelet. But one thing you can do, you could just string your beads just directly onto the spool, just string them all on and then stretch it and then measure about, 13 inches, because it's going to be, you just need it to be about 13 inches after it's been stretched. So the other thing that you'll need some GS Hypo cement. And the reason I highly recommend this, because I do not like when you have a stretch bracelet and the knot is just like on the side there. I just think I just don't like that. But anyway, for this bracelet, I used the wrong size large hole bead, which is something I'm going to talk about in a second. So ideally you want your large hole bead to go over this knot to cover it. And so what I have here, I have some large hole beads. The holes on these are about 2.5 to maybe 2.75 millimeters. And the reason you don't want to go bigger is because you do need to put some glue on the knot. And then what I do is I slide the bead over the knot and I let it sit, so that way it glues itself. The bead glues itself to the knot. That way it doesn't slide off. You don't want to use a bead that's too big, because let's see if we can get that in there. Because see, there's just not enough space in there for the glue to stick. And if it does, it's going to be if you can get it to stay glued, but it's going to be like on one side, and then your bead's going to kind of stick up funny. And let's see what else. Oh, really important. If you're going to be adding like little pendants to your bracelet like this, you want to see how I connected this one directly onto the bracelet, and when I wear it, it just sticks up. See that? So what you need is something between the cord and the pendant. So for example, this one, I did like a wire wrap, and then I put the little, charm or little pendant on there. And let's see, we have on this one, here's an example of where I made a tassel, and I, have just that extra ring. It's really important, because otherwise, if I had connected this directly onto that, it would just stick up, and it's just, just not attractive. So here's another one where I used a bail, and then I just wire wrapped the bead on. So whenever possible, I definitely prefer the black, only in that, regardless of what you do, the clear will turn yellow over time, because you can see that this one's already starting to turn yellow. And I think this bracelet, I've made it, I don't know, 2 years ago, so you could see that it's definitely yellowing. So so what you want to do, let's get started here. It's so easy. I measure about 11 inches of cord, and then I stretch it really well, and then I'll put my beads on. So the trick is, you bring them around. Well, let me tell you what I did here before we go much further. So see the way I strung this on, this bead, my large hole bead is going to be in the front. It's going to be a pearl, and I strung this little shiny thing with little glittery rondelle, and then a rondelle, and then the large hole pearl. So, and I do that in a lot of my bracelets. You know, it's just you just got to experiment. It's actually it's really fun. So let me zoom in so I can show you how this is done. Oh, and you'll need something really sharp. I'm using a knotting awl here, so it's just nice, sharp, and super smooth. And let me get my glue, and I'll talk about the glue after I make the knots. So let's get zoomed in. All right. So what I do is, after you've stretched it and it's kind of like relaxed for a few minutes, you just want to like grab it to where you're not stretching it anymore. You're just getting it as close as possible to where, it just sits normally, just without any extra stress. So what I do is I just make a regular, I just take both cords like that and just make a regular overhand knot, just like that. And then I take my awl and I put it in there, and then this is where I start to, let's see, you need that extra cord so you look at it and you say, okay, that's still a little bit too loose. And the nice thing with this awl, you can like twist it and pull. And then you take, you just have your nails right in there. It's just, I think that's about right. So then with my fingers, I push it, and then I'm going to like tighten, just kind of pull. You don't have to like pull really, really tight, just real super snug. So basically what you've done is you've made an overhand knot with both cords. Now, the next thing you're going to do so that it doesn't slip is really simple. You're going to go in and make an overhand knot with this one and with this one. So just basically the same thing. So you make your overhand knot, put your awl in, and then you just kind of slide it up as close as you possibly can to the first knot that you made. And see how I'm pulling with this hand, and I'm using my fingernail here to like, and you tug on it to make sure that knot is nice and snug, and then you do the same thing with the other one. So you make an overhand knot, take your awl, put it in, and just you start taking the awl out, and you're done. And this knot, I'm not kidding, it is so strong. Because, I've seen the knots that come with the instructions, and I've tried it, and on the package, and it's just never worked for me. Then I've seen, some other videos that show how to do like a surgeon's knot, and check this out. Look at this. See how strong that is? It's not going anywhere because you have those two stopper knots. So basically your knot looks like a little, I don't know, like a bug or something. Anyway, so the next step is we're going to place some hypo cement on this knot, and then we're going to slide this large hole bead over, and then we're going to just let it sit and dry for a couple of hours. And some of you wonder, like, well, what's this glue like? One thing, I've used it for several years, and I just have a love-hate relationship with it. But I've learned to like it. The thing about this is it dries. Okay, here is, I got some here, and I just, put it on a piece of glass and I let it dry. It dries like a thick plastic. and it stays a little bit flexible, which is interesting. So, but I've noticed that if my glue gets kind of old, that it becomes kind of cloudy. So that's one thing you want to like make sure that your glue is nice and fresh. And another thing about this glue that's kind of weird, I mean, it has this little thing here, this little needle. It's supposed to be the precision applicator, but it says do not squeeze. It says wait till the glue comes out. Well, I don't have patience. So, you sit there and, if you squeeze it and then you put the top back on it, the next day the stuff is just like everywhere. It's crazy. So, I mean, I've just come to, realize that I'm not going to do this. And plus, it's, you're in a hurry and it's hard to like get that thing back in the hole. So what I do, which I know is just not too cool, but I don't care, is I just stab I hold my bracelet like this and I just poke a hole with my needle. I just wait till it oozes out. So just kind of squeeze it and get some on the... So I'm just going to hold this and I'm going to get some of that glue. See, when the glue is new and fresh, it's very liquidy. Like this stuff's pretty like liquidy. So I'll put some glue on this right there, just like that. Where is it? Right there. And then I'm going to slide my bead over that knot. And that's it. You just let it set for a couple of hours and it will dry, and it holds pretty well. So I'm just going to leave that. And a couple of things to consider is, some other beads, they have these like, you can get away with a bead that has a large hole, but it's also got like an inside, as opposed to like these beads, they're just like tunnels. These are like, it's got that whole thing going on inside. My mistake with this one was that I put I used the wrong bead, because I was supposed to use this one. It was supposed to go on this side and then go inside the hole. And usually if you could pop it through the hole, then it'll stay. But anyway, that's pretty much it. It's just really important that you don't have your cord hanging out of the bead, because I just think it just doesn't look very professional. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, stretch bracelets are fun. I mean, it's a fun thing to do with kids, and if you have some extra beads, it's just, a good way to make something in 5 minutes. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial.